Pacers in front by 3. They have led by as many as 5. Cleveland's biggest lead was 3 early in the game. Left edge of the arc, Mathurin, center of the floor, McConnell, 9 seconds to shoot. Cross court to the far sideline. This is Nembhard delivering a 3. Halliburton gets it in. Near side corner, Nembhard. Mitchell is on Nembhard. Nembhard at the edge of the arc, backs it up toward the sideline, then bounces it to the logo. Halliburton takes it there. Back to Nembhard. Working the bounce. He got a 3 up over Merrill and connected from way out on the left edge. It's halftime of game 1 in Cleveland. It's the Indiana Pacers 64, the Cleveland Cavaliers 58. Almost an over and back on the inbound. Good catch at the timeline by Halliburton. 7 seconds to go. Ball knocked away from Siakam. He's 30 feet away. He drives right down the middle. Kick to the corner. Turner beat the clock and hit a 3 as the third quarter comes to a close.
Halliburton doing his dance. Crosses over, steps back, and buries it. What a matchup here. Mitchell against Halliburton. Doing his dance. 1 to shoot. The scoop, missed it. Well played by Halliburton. Beautiful fade. Siakam.
He sends it to the other end, and Siakam lays it in. Superior work at both ends by Halliburton.
Listen, give Halliburton his credit. We give him a hard time quite often for his perimeter defense. He did a terrific job there on Donovan Mitchell.
The Indiana Pacers come to Cleveland, take the home court advantage.
Final score 121-112.
The Ride with JMV, 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Happy Cinco de Mayo, everybody. And that was Pacer Radio. That was TNT. This show today is live on the West Side. I could not be more happy to be here. I have known Hector and Gian Carlo for a while now, and they have asked us to come out and host a Cinco de Mayo party at what is an awesome venue. I don't know if you've been here before. I have. A lot of you said this is one of the greatest places around because you can go, great date place. You can get dinner here, drinks here, see films here. I'll explain what's going to happen over the course of the afternoon, but the Alamo Drafthouse Cinema is our location. We are between Lafayette Road and 38th on Georgetown Road, right here. Now, if you are old school in the area, this is the old Cub Foods building right here. I mean, way back, all of our grandparents went to Cub Foods, I'm assuming back in the 80s and the 1990s for a while. This is the old building, and we'll get more from both Hector and Gian Carlo a little bit later on. But what is unique about this is Alamo Drafthouse Cinema started in Austin, Texas, and it has grown, and this is one of the places in which it has decided to grow. And you are absolutely going to be floored when you get here today. I mean floored on what this place looks like. You've got rooms where you can host parties, very private stuff. You've got rooms with many theaters, larger theaters. I mentioned the games as you walk in, and I'll get to that in just a second. But because it's Cinco de Mayo, we have a celebration, and Jeff, the mixologist, and I behind the bar, we're trying to come up with a JMV drink for Cinco de Mayo. So right before you hear, we are rocking, happy Cinco de Mayo to you, the JMV Tequila Sunrise right here. The Tequila Sunrise is the drink. We got great specials, food specials, and this is the kicker because we're going into the Grand Prix this weekend, and it's officially the start of the month of May with racing this weekend with the Grand Prix, with qualifying after that, and then the greatest spectacle in racing to close things out for the next 3 hours right here. Normally it's $25, and this is one of 3 places in Indy where you can actually do it. It is normally $25, but while we're here, it's absolutely free for you to get into the Dallara Race Simulator. And that's exactly what the drivers use to practice, to prepare for various courses, including IMS. And I'm going to say this, it is badass. Absolutely badass. Like all of you are thinking, well, I love turbo and pole position. No, not even close. You have to get inside the tub. They strap you in, and it makes you feel, I'm kind of doing the movements here inside the AAA membership lounge on YouTube Live. The movements you make are like the G-forces. It is incredible. I mean, it'll yank you around, but that's exactly what the drivers use. I was talking to Connor Daly about that, too. I said, hey, we're going to be out there, and he says, yeah, that's exactly what we use to practice. So you can come out here, and for these 3 hours to do the race simulator, the Dallara race simulator, it is absolutely free. That is Gian Carlo and Hector and the gang here. That is their thanks to you for joining us to celebrate Cinco de Mayo on the west side. We'll talk to both of them a little bit later on. I just wanted to set the stage for you because I want you to come out and join us. You've got great food, specials, the JMV Tequila Sunrise, other specials. You can go margarita, whatever. You can just do whatever. They have a fully stocked bar and great beers. But join us here on the west side at the Alamo Draft House Cinema is our location today. It is easy to find, and we're going to be here until well after 6 o'clock, I promise you that. The Dallara Simulator is coming at you absolutely free over the course of the 3 hours. All right, more on that coming up, too. We have a busy show. I'll tell you more about that as we move along. Last night was one of the more impressive, if not the most impressive games of the season, given the circumstances that we have seen the Pacers play. And this was from start to finish. If anybody's going to tell you, well, the Pacers got out and they stole game number 1 of the Eastern Conference semifinals, they would be inaccurate. They didn't steal a damn thing. They took ownership of that bad boy early and did not relinquish. They lost the lead, got down by a couple, but immediately got it back. There was no thievery. There was no theft there. That was an ass-kicking. Honestly, it was an ass-kicking from start to finish, and it was a team that shot the ball at a 57% clip. It was a team that rebounded the ball evenly, and I have told you this before, all you have to do if you're the Pacers is keep the rebound numbers respectable. That's all you got to do. Now, not a lot of rebound opportunities when you're shooting 57% from the floor. But here's the other thing that was so impressive. How many of those chances, and especially when the game got tight, got close, how many of those chances were late clock situations? Normally, late clock with the Pacers, and I have been very outspoken about this, drives me insane. Because then you're trying to run an offense in the half court, and I think that sometimes kind of sucks. Like, I like it when they get out and they push. But they knocked down how many? 2, 3, 4, 5 big late clock situational threes, maybe a 2. And here's what stands out. And I'm going to get to a lot of the things that led to a lot of signature moments of that game that led to that 121-112 run. But I'll start with this. The Pacers, and Eddie Gill joins us at 4 o'clock, I believe it is, 4 o'clock today. So I want to ask him how demoralizing it is for a team when you go down and you score. I'm not talking about getting defended and missing or being like Donovan Mitchell where it takes you 30 shots to go above 30 points or handling guys defensively. And the Pacers did a great job defensively. But as I mentioned all the time, a part of what they do defensively is predicated and really built on how they do offensively, the pace of play. That's where it starts. We've always talked about this team not being great defensively. They have made strides. But the one thing that has always, to me, been out front that really has helped out this team defensively is what they do offensively. And did you guys notice that last night? How many times did you see Cleveland score? Whether it was a 3, maybe the team to do their to flex or to do the 3. Why? Because the Pacers are going the other direction. They are running it up their rear end. And I'm sorry, that has to be demoralizing when you score on one end and you're getting closer, or let's just say you're even in the game, and then 3 seconds later, you're back down again because the Pacers push the tempo, they score, and that's that. I'm telling you what, that is as big, if not bigger, a reason as their defense is better for what they accomplish offensively. So many times last night they did that. Think about that. Off of makes. You got to inbound, and then you push the tempo. And you're up, and you're scoring in like the next 5 to 7 seconds. You cannot tell me that is not demoralizing for a defense. And you don't have time to celebrate. I mean, you can't flex or look at your bicep or look at the crowd and kind of soak up the moment, because the moment you soak up the moment, if you're the Cavaliers, your ass is getting whipped on the other end. The ball, and really, no matter who we're talking about, whether it was Tyrese Halliburton, who was awesome last night, or off the bench with T.J. McConnell, it is the same thing. They run it down your throat. And then to be productive with it, that's demoralizing for a defense. You watch some of the looks, and listen, I'm not a body language expert. I don't try to be. But some of the looks on the faces to where the Cavaliers get back, and Mitchell had a couple of those looks last night. I mean, he was getting into the groove and scoring, but then in those moments where the Pacers, they would score, get closer, and the Pacers immediately would inbound, they would be in the front court before some of the defensive players, or I should say some of the Cavaliers, had a chance to get back into it. That is when the Pacers play at their best. And that helps their defense. And again, that's demoralizing to the Cavaliers when that happens. It is absolutely incredible. Last night, it all came together. Hey, listen, the Cavaliers are going to make adjustments, and we'll see, too, because they've got a lot of injuries to deal with right now. You know, Darius Garland missed, and that's a big deal. But at the same time, defensively, he doesn't help out a lot. He is quick, and I'm not going to suggest they're not as good without him as they are with him. But that was a big-ass deal that he was gone. But still, defensively, you can take advantage of him, too. And the Pacers do. The pace of play, what they do offensively, dictates the terms on the level in which they play defensively. Every single time. Now, we'll see if Garland is back. I saw where Evan Mobley has an ankle situation. It seemed like Kenny Atkinson was not too thrilled with his situation injury-wise. So we'll see about game number 2. That's a quick turnaround coming up from Sunday night to Tuesday night, game 2 in Cleveland. And we'll see, because Evan Mobley dinged up with an ankle. You still have that toe situation with Darius Garland. We saw Jared Allen go down, hurt his back. He didn't look the same after that whatsoever. And they've got some injury situations that they're going to have to deal with a little bit. I think DeAndre Hunter was the other one, right, with a thumb? So they've got a lot going on right now. And, oh, by the way, they're going to be responsible for winning game number 2, because 3 and 4 are coming back to Indianapolis coming up on Friday and Sunday. But across the board offensively, that was team basketball right there. Everybody says all the time, well, Tyrese Halliburton is not elite. Tyrese Halliburton is overrated. Tyrese Halliburton gets everybody else going. And when he also has himself going, normally that is going to be lights out for you. That is incredibly difficult for any other team to deal with when he has everything going. He had everything going last night. 1 turnover to 13 assists. That spreads the wealth. That gets this team going offensively. And then also to be himself out there offensively. And here's the telltale sign. If you watch the Pacers, look how comfortable these guys are. Were there moments in which they didn't look comfortable to you? Tyrese Halliburton throughout the game looked comfortable, and that's what I would expect Atkinson of the Cavaliers to do, to try to disrupt that, because he's going to rip you a new one when he plays at that level with that level of comfort. And why not, too? Because he had shot makers all around him, whether you're talking about Andrew Nembhard, who, I tell you, late clock situations from distance and tough threes, you normally can count on it. 5 of 6 from distance, 23 points for Nembhard. Pascal Siakam had 17. A lot of people would say, I don't think Siakam played very well. There wasn't anybody on this team that didn't do their part, and that's what is so interesting about this postseason so far. Everybody, they've done their job. There's not anybody you can really point to. I mean, if you're going to get to somebody that's going to get light clock like Ben Shepherd, then go ahead, be my guest. But everybody else, Thomas Bryant was another one. I mean, Thomas Bryant subbed in, and I saw a lot of the nerdy Pacer fans go, oh, I can't believe Rick's doing that right now. Well, Thomas Bryant went in and gave him a couple of minutes of positivity. Scored once. Got a couple of rebounds. Now, he gave one back with a layup that was kind of a lazy pass. It wasn't even an outlet. It was like a handoff. But he gave them, in the minutes in which he participated, strong minutes. T.J. McConnell gave them strong minutes. Pacer dorks were complaining about McConnell. I can't believe they got him up against Jerome. Whatever. You know what? On the other end, that's where he takes advantage. All right, you give up something to take something. They take you offensively, and then you might give up something defensively, but you're going to win out in the end. Again, that's exactly how, if you're the Pacers, you want to play. That's how you succeed. Just like that. You're not always going to shoot it at 57%. You're not always going to be that good from three-point range. Not always. But if you press the tempo and you're productive offensively, it is demoralizing on the other end, for example, to the Cavaliers who score and you want to flex and you want to celebrate and the crowd is going crazy. And then you know what? Your ass is getting beat to the other end and somebody lays it up in like 5 seconds. That is demoralizing. That's what the Pacers do. And that helps you out defensively. If you have deficiencies defensively, that helps out. I thought Tyrese Halliburton was fantastic. What have we talked about on this show? He may not be a great defensive player by any stretch, but you can tell he is enthusiastic about doing what? About playing the passing lane, about getting deflections. Tom Crean would have a field day with Tyrese Halliburton. Tom Crean is a defensive lover of deflections. Tyrese Halliburton gets out into the passing lane. He may get stuck off the dribble at times, and that can be problematic, but he has found a facet defensively in which he can work off of, and that did not used to be the case. He gets into the passing lane, he plays that, deflections. I mean, all you had to do, I think, last night is look at the steal numbers. They were fantastic with the takeaways. What was it all? I think Pacers, I would like to see them get their own turnovers down a little bit. But they played the passing lane, got a lot of deflections. I thought Miles was fantastic. You could tell that Miles was told, you know what? We need you to rebound at your best. He did just that. 13 and 11, a double-double for Miles. By the way, the lone offensive board that he had was big. That was a putback. You rarely see that with the Pacers. Miles had a great game. And I mentioned Nembhard. But how about these two? Aaron Nesmith, who has turned into the guy that Pacer fans always wish they had and didn't think Aaron Nesmith was. Both ends of the floor, scored it, and then played him defensively as good as you could. And I thought the signature moment of the game was that of Benedict Mathurin, that block, and then that challenge that was upheld, the call, the block of DeAndre Hunter. And I think that was also the play where DeAndre Hunter, you saw there was a little bit of dialogue going on at the free throw line when Hunter was there a little bit later on. I think that was a foul call against Mathurin on Hunter, and there was some dialogue going on at the free throw line. But that was a big momentum shift, and it was upheld by the challenge and the NBA. And you look back at that, there were two blocks that were significant in that game, and that was that one and that of Aaron Nesmith. Mathurin and Nesmith, but Mathurin was exactly corner 3 in a big moment in which they needed it. Miles, a corner 3 to end the third, which was big. They made shots. That was a professional team win, and that's how the Pacers win. And somebody had mentioned this today. You know, all anybody's talking about Steph Curry and Golden State in a Game 7. For one, it's a Game 7, and you got to realize that, number two, you're dealing with the national media leaning on Steph, but you have the Cavaliers and the Pacers. You got Middle America, and I'm sure nobody in any of these talk shows besides us thinks it's a big storyline, and that's why you have us here, because we care about what you care about. But everybody else is just kind of now jumping on board, kind of understanding, kind of getting it right now. You can kind of tell that all of a sudden it's, oh, wow, that's what this team looks like. The Pacers could have picked no better spot. Now, believe me, Cleveland is still very talented. The Pacers off the dribble, and this is something, the settling for threes, because they'll start knocking some of those down, but the settling for threes at times is not what Cleveland is going to want to do. They're going to want to try to get to the basket. And there'll be a hell of a lot more of that forthcoming, so be ready. And this is as difficult a team as you can play that will adjust. And Kenny Atkinson is a good coach. I thought Rick may have outdueled him in game number one, but I think you always look really good as a coach when your team shoots 57%. And so many of those makes came in those late clock situations. Again, keep in mind how many times we get bummed out of Pacers playing offensively with the late clock. That was not an issue in game number one, but they kept their foot on the gas, no pun intended, month of May, the entire time. That was as impressive of a win as you're going to see. Keep in mind, this was a Cavalier team that basically was not tested in 4 games in round number one against Miami. I mean, hell, the last game they played, the closeout, what did they win by, like 60? They haven't been tested in a while. They hadn't played in a while. And you're without one of your better players in Darius Garland. You know what the Pacers did? They went in on the road. They took advantage of it. That was not a steal. That was a team that came in and simply put, from start to finish, played a hell of a lot better than the 64-18 Cavaliers. By the way, 34-7 now at home this season are the Cavs. Just absolutely incredible stuff from the blue and gold. Game 2 coming up tomorrow night. That's once again in Cleveland, 3-4, and what is going to be a fantastic weekend here in downtown Indy. Comes up on Friday, and then Mother's Day Sunday. Got you covered as well. All right, 239-1070. We'll get your thoughts on that coming up on the other side. I've kept a lot of this day wide open because I do want to speak with you. I have more thoughts on that game. The Fever, a winner. I don't know where this Brazilian national team, did they pick up some people on the way because they weren't worth a lick last night, or I should say yesterday afternoon up at Iowa City. But the Fever looked good in doing so. We'll talk about that. We'll talk, I'm sure, a little bit, maybe a smidge of NFL, the rest of what is going on in the postseason in the NBA. And what's really enjoyable about this is now you can kind of sit back and watch everybody else try to do the same thing that the Pacers did last night. For example, the Knicks and the Celtics, 2 teams that you love to hate. You know, one that you put out in the Eastern Conference semifinals a year ago, and another that put you out in straight sets in the Eastern Conference finals last year. So you get to watch those 2 teams match up later on tonight and know that the Pacers have won in their best of 7 in the win column. And it's funny, people always bring up, well, yeah, you know what? Yeah, it's gravy, it's cake. It's really not. It's not unusual any longer, or it doesn't seem as easy as it used to be to just go in and win at home. So there's no cake, there is no gravy, there is no having, your cake and eating it. All that BS bullcrap that you're going to see on the internet, it's bogus. It's about how your team is playing, and you want to see this Pacer team sustain in all categories. Honestly, that's one of the reasons why I wanted this team to be run back. Because I trust, you saw the left hand knowing what the right hand and vice versa is doing basically every moment out there. You feel comfortable in that. Everybody thinks you got to bring in a hired gun, midway through. And listen, if you bring in somebody talented, that can always help. But I've always had trust in this group. You can tell they enjoy playing together. You can tell they play well together. This is a team concept that has been built from the ground level up. It is very unlike the rest of the NBA. And I will tell you this, some of you clowns out there that always give me the college basketball is better bull crap and all this, you don't get much better basketball play than that. And for those of you that suggest NBA is not team ball, the Pacers are an absolute definition of basketball team ball. And if you don't realize that, you just don't know. It's 100% true. So all of those aspects, you should be in love with this team and understand why I've always wanted to keep them together and understand why I want to see where this thing goes, because this is not a characteristic that you normally see in the NBA. And it's all kind of been maneuvered through the draft, maneuvered through trades, just Kevin Pritchard and Chad Buchanan and Rick Carlisle being savvy about this team keeping Miles Turner on hand. I think everybody realizes by now, like Bobby Jefferson sent me this last night. He goes, JMV's taking a lot of heat for defending Miles Turner over the years, but now you can understand why he is so indispensable. Yeah, you can. And granted, Tyrese Halliburton is the one player that came in here that has taken Miles to that next level. And that is also another reason with Miles and his teammates why Halliburton is elite, because that's what he does for everybody else. He makes this team what it is. And then when he does what he did for himself last night offensively, one of the better teams in the NBA without question, and you saw that in Game 1. All right, 239-1070 is the number. Email address is jmv@1075thefan.com. Inside the AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live, I'm waving at you right now. It is Cinco de Mayo. The Alamo Drafthouse Cinema is our location. They have a great menu. They have great specials. They have great drink specials. The JMV Tequila Sunrise is what we're into right now. It is very enjoyable, but I mean, hell, a margarita mix, whatever you want. Jeff, the mixologist, and the gang here, they will make that for you. And beer specials. And the Dallara Race Simulator, normally $25. One of 3 locations in Indy in which you can get and you can race. You can be a part of it just like the drivers do. Right here, not $25, absolutely free when you're here between 3 and 6. So come over here and join us. I mean, no better time. Cinco de Mayo, no better time, month of May. Alamo Drafthouse Cinema on the west side. Thank you all for joining us. Quick break, we'll come back. Your calls, Eddie Gill, top of the 4 o'clock hour. Stephen Holder, 5 o'clock hour. We'll see if we have anything to give away as we toss it back to James in studio downtown Indianapolis. Happy Cinco de Mayo to everybody. Alamo Drafthouse Cinema on what is a Monday with a Pacer 1 Eastern Conference semifinals win over Cleveland. More for you at 239-1070 coming up next. The stream, the app, HD Radio is 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
with JMV.
If somebody gets in your face and calls you a I want you to be nice.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Mitchell still working the bounce, penetrates the arc, still working with one to go. A left-hand scoop off the rim, well played by Halliburton. He sends it to the other end, and Siakam lays it in. Superior work at both ends by Halliburton.
Listen, give Halliburton his credit. We give him a hard time quite often for his perimeter defense. He did a terrific job there on Donovan Mitchell.
That's Eddie Gill, who's going to join us top of the hour. Mark Boyle as well, Pacers Radio. Matt is in the house right here. Good to see you, brother. I try not to stand up here. I don't want to get my crotch on camera here at the AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live, giving you all a thrill right there on Cinco de Mayo. The Alamo Draft House Cinema West Side. We're right between Lafayette Road and 38th Street on Georgetown Road, and we would love to have you out here because we have got a special Cinco de Mayo set up for you. We'll talk to both Hector and Gian Carlo coming up in a bit. I know them really well, and this place is great. Your favorite films. Also, you can get the films that you want to have private parties and get-togethers. Date-wise, awesome right here. You got food. I'm actually in the sports bar of the place. Jeff's, the mixologist over there, is mixing up the JMV Cinco de Mayo, just another tequila sunrise right here. If you're watching inside the AAA Membership Lounge, the JMV Tequila Sunrise is going on. The Dallara Race Simulator, just like the drivers use in preparation for the greatest spectacle in racing. It's right here. One of 3 locations that you have the chance to get in. Normally it's $25, but Gian Carlo and Hector and the gang here at Alamo Draft House Cinema said during this show, you come out and celebrate with us on Cinco de Mayo. You can lock and load inside the tub and wheel it around whatever speedway you want, including IMS, absolutely free. It is free, great drink specials, great food, and it is a fantastic place to have Cinco de Mayo. Again, Alamo Draft House Cinema is where we are this afternoon. Pacers 121-112, Game 2 coming up tomorrow night. That is in Cleveland. A couple of games later on tonight, including Boston and New York in their Eastern Conference semifinal round series, game number 1. We'll get into that with Eddie Gill. Top of the hour is going to join us as well, and Stephen Holder coming up after 5. We got to see you here, though. I want to hear from you, but I want to see you even more for Cinco de Mayo. Meantime, 239-1070. Give me Luke on board to lead off this show. Hello, Luke. How are you?
I am doing well. How are you doing? Happy Cinco de Mayo.
Luke, I'm great on this. Happy Cinco de Mayo to you. What's up?
Well, I've got a question for you. I'd love to hear your thoughts about the upcoming series. So,
yeah,
the year to me feels reminiscent of last year. Obviously, we had the Bucks first round, most likely going to have the Ticks in the conference finals. The in-between was the funny one. Knicks took us 7 games, losing the first 2 in New York, and then this year playing the Cavs. My question for you is, would you rather play the Villanova Knicks last year, or do you like our chances against the Cavs better? Regardless, do we have any shot against Boston next round?
Well, I mean, there's still a lot to be sorted out in this one right here. Like the Cavaliers, and even with the news on Mobley and Allen and Hunter today to be added to their injury concerns with Darius Garland, that is a dangerous team. They have one of the elite level volume scorers in the NBA with Donovan Mitchell. And that is still a team. There's a reason why they've been so good this year, because they do have star power, but much like the Pacers, Luke, they also have depth. So we'll see how that depth ultimately takes over. I can't imagine that you're going to get 50 shot attempts by Mitchell and Ty Jerome. I will say this. A lot of people had suggested Ty Jerome shot it too much, but, I mean, hell, it seemed like 5 of those came late when they were just chucking up threes to try to get back into the game. However, I don't think those numbers will be like that. This is still an incredibly dangerous team. So I guess what I'm trying to tell you is I think we'll probably worry about Boston and New York, or who would you rather play once you get past this, because, Game 2 is going to be maybe the toughest challenge this Pacer team has faced the entire season coming up tomorrow night, without question.
Yeah, agreed. That's why normally I don't like getting you play the 4-5, you always get the number 1 seed next round. Normally it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
This year, with it being the inexperienced Cavs, I'd rather play them than Boston right away.
I mean, there's a reason why the reason why that was set up that way is because besides OKC, it was Cleveland the best team record-wise in the NBA this year. So you can look at it that way as well. But I mean, we'll see. These injuries are starting to stack up. Kenny Atkinson, their head coach, kind of acted like that it was certainly severe to talk about. It wasn't something where, oh, by the way, these guys are dinged up. It'll be interesting to see who's all good to go, but you got to play it if you're the Pacers like everybody's going to be good to go. And this is going to be the most significant challenge of the season. And you're not trying to steal it. You're trying to win it. You want to maintain your level of play. You're not going to shoot it at 57%, Luke, every game. I don't think anybody expects that. But you can put the pressure on them, and the pressure comes offensively, and that's when their defense is that much better. We witnessed that last night in Game 1. What else you got?
That's pretty much. I wanted to hear your thoughts. Yeah, if you liked, just basically if you like this better than the Knicks series last year, which is so iconic. We're going to the game downtown on Friday, so we can't wait for it. Go Sirs.
You got it, buddy. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the yes sirs thing right there, but I am a big fan of the way that they played. I'm telling you, that's going to be demoralizing. When you score and you get closer and you think you got momentum, and the Pacers offensively within like 5 to 7 seconds go back down and score and snatch that momentum away immediately, it's got to drive you nuts. In a good way for the Pacers, in a bad way for the Cavaliers, or really anybody. I mean, what do you do if you're Cleveland right here? How do you get Tyrese Halliburton out of a comfort zone? Man, he was picking and choosing. He was comfortable. That's another reason how you can tell when he gets comfortable is when the float game gets going on, that has a profound effect on everything else, and then all of a sudden it seems like you get confidence in that step back. And then he's got you at his mercy. So impressed with the way that he led things last night. And there's a lot of responsibility in that. Think about it for a moment. We talk about these elite level guys, and Jokic comes to mind because he's got the responsibility of also getting everybody else going, including himself. But this Pacer team is at its best when everybody else gets going, yet nobody else can really at all consistently go out there and get their own. So he's responsible to make sure that there are situations these guys get in which he is able to score. They're able to score, I should say. And that's exactly what he did last night. That is what makes him so valuable. And then a lot of nerds don't understand that, but that's on the nerds. A lot of people that don't watch this team don't have any understanding whatsoever of it. They just read a box score and go, oh, wait a minute, he scored 18 points. Well, that's not good enough. Then you don't see what truly took place in the context of the game. You have no idea. I'm going to tell you what, the Pacers are an NBA yappers box score reading nightmare. Because you look at it and you go, oh, well, wait a minute. And you have no idea what happened. See, they're a team, thus you need to watch the game and not read a box score the next morning and try to pontificate out of the box score, which inevitably will make you look like a horse's ass. You got to watch the game to see exactly what goes down, and that's what a lot of these national people are finding out. Like somewhere, I'm assuming Lou Williams on FanDuel is like watching tape of the Pacers because he was the one a couple of weeks ago that suggested he hadn't watched the Pacer game this year. He may want to watch one now. He may want to take that in, consume a little bit of Pacer and go, oh, okay, that's what they do. Well, wait a minute. Overrated is Tyrese Halliburton, but he has the responsibility of getting everybody else going. Hey, listen, I'm not trying to take anything away from Donovan Mitchell, but his responsibility is scoring at a high volume level. It's not his responsibility to get everybody's ass in gear. That is that of Tyrese Halliburton, and that is the overall value. And don't give me any of that crap about, not elite. When you do that, that is elite. When you make Siakam, Nesmith, Turner, Nembhard, when you make these guys better offensively, and each of these guys, this entire team, Obi even referenced that after the game, and he gets everybody else going. There's not a lot. Like Jokic, I think, is an exception to the rule because he also has to do that out there in Denver. But not a lot of guys have that singular responsibility. And Halliburton does. And you could tell, too, you heard that clip with the Halliburton defense. He may not be good. He may get beat off the dribble still out front. But what he is better at, you can tell he gets rejuvenated defensively because he has a hand in the passing lane. How many times you see that? How many times you see that from the Pacers? Just out of curiosity last night, where it was just kind of like a deflection, right? And you can see that. I think Miles himself had 3 steals. Now, valuable that is, 3 steals, 11 rebounds, a couple of blocks to go along with 13 points. The efficiency, 5 for 9, 1 3-point make to end the third quarter, to sidestep the momentum that Cleveland had built. And again, to kind of just a little bit stick it in them, right? And the momentum is built. I mean, you can't flex as much. That's why the Pacers, it's so important in transition to get something going. There's no time to make love with the crowd because you just made a shot. Because if you do, you're going to get your ass beat going down the other end for a layup. That's demoralizing for that other team. We'll talk about that with Eddie Gill coming up here at the top of the hour. And the other thing is, these games normally change. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I expect them to shoot the ball at a clip in which they did. Let's face it. When you get out early and you put 36 on the board in the first, you're not going to be able to coast. Like, this is what I heard. I guess I shouldn't say I heard. I read a lot of this. Well, the Pacers are shooting at a high clip, but their lead isn't big enough. I'm worried about their lead. We're worried about their lead. The lead should be bigger. Here's what you want. You want the consistency of play. Yeah, everybody wants a big lead, and that's great. But the consistent level of play that you got, they went through a lull in the third quarter for about 5 minutes. And I would agree, that was a bit concerning. But they always had a counterpunch lined up for the punch that the Cavaliers offensively were throwing. And every time the Cavs landed a punch, they got one in return. Yeah, that is, again, an invaluable piece of what this team does. Quick break, we'll come back. Alamo Drafthouse Cinema, Cinco de Mayo, the JMV Tequila Sunrise, as we celebrate Cinco de Mayo, the Delara Simulating Racing Vehicle here. They are one of 3 locations that have it. It's absolutely free. Normally $25. You can do it for free right here with us until 6 o'clock. So join us. Eddie Gill, top of the hour. Stephen Holder after 5. 239-1070. You and I coming up on the other side. Happy Cinco de Mayo to you with 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
With JMV.
If you leave me now, you'll take away the biggest part of me.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Left sideline, Mitchell. Nembhard has Mitchell. Mitchell bouncing with the right hand. Now he'll pick up the dribble, look into the post, nothing there. Up top, Okoro will come down the right side, and Toppin blocked his shot. Pacers running with a loose ball. McConnell bounces it ahead to Mathurin. Really good work by all three. Toppin, McConnell, and Mathurin collaborating on a very nice possession for the Pacers.
Couldn't have a better sequence from defense to offense.
That's Mark Boyle, Eddie Gill. Eddie Gill joins us top of the hour, Pacers Radio. Alamo Draft House Cinema is our location. Gian Carlo's on his way. Hey, FedEx is represented over here today, man. It's great to see you. Eddie Gill, as I mentioned, top of the hour, game 2 coming up tomorrow night. Evan Mobley, DeAndre Hunter, Darius Garland, injury situations that will be worth watching here in the next 24 hours for sure. Happy Cinco de Mayo. Happy to Pacer fans getting that win number 1 in the Eastern Conference semifinals over the Cavaliers last night. Again, as I mentioned, game 2 coming up tomorrow in Cleveland. Friday, Sunday, 3 and 4 back here downtown at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. But joining us here before we get to the top of the hour, Gian Carlo, my man, is in the house because we're at his house, the Alamo Draft House and Cinema, man. Thanks for having us.
No, thanks for having, for coming here. And we're at today is because of Cinco de Mayo is JMV's house, okay?
This is my house today?
This is today.
My God. This is all. Well, I'm going to probably have to have a ride from my house a little bit later on, Gian Carlo. Or you got a bunk back here for me to bunk down? Because this is a great day, and thank you for the JMV Tequila Sunrise. Jeff, your mixologist behind the bar, made this. It's absolutely outstanding. Tell the folks out there, I want them to come out right now, but what to expect once you get out here to the Alamo Draft House Cinema.
Yeah, sure. So, like, the Alamo Draft House Cinema, it's not just a cinema by itself. It's a whole experience. So, it's the food, is the movie theater, the films, and it's also the drinks. So we have a wide variety of drink, craft beer, import, domestic beers as well. But then we have also delicious food, all over the place. Like we have beer, like the regular domestic course, 34 draft, 3 floors, anything you can ask, you can come here, and then delicious burgers like that Royale with cheese and the Hellfire Burger too. Sure.
Well, yeah, that's. I mean, you guys brought out the food. I was here last Tuesday to check things out, and you brought out the food, which is absolutely fantastic. You got front running films here as well. I saw the list too. I did not know that there's going to be a reboot of The Naked Gun with Liam Neeson playing the old Leslie Nielsen role right there. I had no idea until I saw that on your movie poster wall.
That's going to be nice. Takes me back.
And
yes.
I mean, I love it. It is. Racing design here, but you've got some incredible films. Like anything David Carradine's ever starred in, I think, is in a movie poster on your wall. You got Death Race 2000, the original from 1975, and the mural that's out front here on the front of the building. And it is just an awesome throwback, but also is a part of today as well, which I'm assuming you guys tried to do with this, right?
Yeah, so it's a combo. So you hit it right on the head. Like we had the current films, but also all the throwbacks. So we recently have classic ones like Pride and Prejudice movie party. So we have movie party. The Jaws movie party is coming up on actually a race day.
We're celebrating 50 years of that release this summer, right? And that's the summertime 1975 film release, and you guys are celebrating 50 years of Jaws.
That's going to be great. That's going to be at 7 p.m. on race day on the 25th. So after race, head over.
Oh man, I tell you. And this is a great place to go on dates, for the family, for office parties. I mean, you really do have it all, don't you?
Yeah, sure thing. Like you can do private rentals for, outside experience for your employees, and you can have the full experience. And we have the catering here for the food. So you're okay. If you have a training for your company, or you're just having a party, maybe you want to have a bachelor or bachelorette party, we can have that as well. We can do everything here with those. So Gian
Carlo is with us. I do want to remind people before we break here at the top of the hour, you have one of 3 here in the area, Delara race simulators, and it is absolutely free for anybody that comes in during this show to want to get behind. It's incredible.
today because today this is JMV house. Like
it's my house.
Yes, for Cinco de Mayo.
You're going to race for free today.
That's right. Thanks to JMV. So if you come here today, during the show, yes, definitely come over and experience the racing system. You actually did last time.
I did, man.
Yes.
I was all over the place, too. I was in the infield, and every time I looked down to see what my steering wheel was doing, I got off course. I guess that's what happens when you're going 220 miles an hour.
You actually did really well.
That was real, but I had to hammer down. I just got in the green a little bit. And I mean by green, I got in the grass. You know what? Yeah, you don't want to be in the grass. I didn't do bad, I don't think, for my first time right there. But it's a real deal because it gives you like the G-force effect and everything as well. It's what the drivers use.
If they come here and beat your record, free popcorn, okay?
Free popcorn if you beat my record. My record is up there, free popcorn. Hey, when you guys return, we'll talk about the Mother's Day specials that are coming up too and some of the new menu items that you have. But right now, the JMV Tequila Sunrise, beat my record, free popcorn, great food, and we celebrate Cinco de Mayo with Gian Carlo and Hector and all my friends here at Alamo Drafthouse Cinema. West Side right here.
Exactly.
Gian Carlo, my brother, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
We'll come back with Gian Carlo a little bit later on. We'll come back with you on the other side, and Eddie Gill is going to join us, the former NBA guard from the Pacer Radio and Television Networks. That is next. Pacers up a game, best of 7 Eastern Conference semifinals. We've got all the conversation you're looking for right here on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
Get him a body bag! Yeah! All right.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Indiana down 1. Toppin hands it off right sideline to Halliburton. 6.5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Right corner Toppin, back out to Halliburton. 10 seconds to shoot. Halliburton, right hand, left, back to the right. Now the left, a retreating 3. That is a shot that you can make maybe once in 10 times. That was terrific.
And I thought something bad was brewing there. He's isolating Jared Allen, a very good defender.
That's Eddie Gill. That's Smart Boyle, Pacers Radio. You heard it here last night on the Fan. Game 2 coming up on the Fan tomorrow night as well. Of course, television-wise, you get it on TNT. And I know a lot of you were probably dogged by the weird sound, the bad sound of the game last night that they had for the most part on the TNT broadcast. Hey, we'll double back on that. A couple of NBA postseason games coming up later on tonight. Of course, game 1 in the East with the Knicks and the Celtics into that too. Barber's outcome was Pelot, and now we're ready for Indy coming up this weekend as well with the Grand Prix. Qualifying tickets we have to give away. We celebrate Cinco de Mayo at the Alamo Drafthouse Cinema on the west side between 38th and Lafayette Road on Cinco de Mayo. The JMV Tequila Sunrise is here, and the Delara Race Simulator is absolutely free while I'm here until 6 o'clock tonight. So we would love to see you. Meantime, on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, you just heard his voice. You can see him on Pacers TV when there is Pacers TV. Hear him on Pacers Radio as you did last night in Game 1 of the Pacers 121-112 win in Cleveland. He is Eddie Gill on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Eddie, thank you for the time. I want to start right here. You would know this because you played in the NBA. How demoralizing is it when you come down and you're the Cavaliers and you score and you want to flex and soak up the crowd noise and be fired up and juiced, and then the Pacers in 5 seconds shove it right up your rear end by going the next direction, off a make, off the inbound, and score? To me, it would seem like that would be massively demoralizing. How is that?
Yeah, it definitely should be, and even more so, I can assure you that they're talking about it, in their preparation about how quickly the Pacers get the ball out of bounds, get it up the floor. If you do score, oftentimes they're looking for a quick opportunity to strike back. Halliburton has been great with advancing the ball up the floor to guys like Neesmith, Toppin. These guys are running the floor right after make. So, it definitely it doesn't feel good. But certainly something, teams got to be able to control emotions of the game, when you're trying to celebrate after a big play and just lock in on getting to the next play.
Yeah, even if you're not celebrating, right? They're still running it right down your throat. And to me, Eddie, what that does, I think that magnifies – you may not be a hell of a lot better defensively, but I think you're better defensively. And when you add that, I think that makes you even better defensively, because again, you go, man, you got to be kidding me. We're getting close, and there's the momentum, and then they snatch that away in like the next 7 seconds going end to end off the inbound.
Yeah, that's often, because to your point, even if you're not celebrating, sometimes teams are casual about getting back because they think they've bought themselves a little bit of time, for, in this case, the Pacers taking the ball out of the net. But they're taking it out of the net quickly and getting the ball in bounds and trying to get something quick on the other end. But I thought they were, offensively, really throughout the game, it was just masterful to see them play with great pace. And then even when they were caught in half-court situations, they were able to move the ball and get something good.
So Eddie Gill's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. It's interesting, too. They got the pace of play that they certainly wanted, end up getting game number 1. Game number 2 is coming up tomorrow night at, again, Cleveland. You guys are going to have that on the radio broadcast for us. Darius Garland not being out there on the floor, how big of a deal to you was that? This is a deep team that normally can get away with it. They clearly didn't last night. How big of a deal was that? And do you look at some of these other injury situations that now cropped up after game number 1 from a Cleveland angle as stuff worthy of watching here the next 24 hours?
Listen, I think if you ask any head coach, number one priority is health for your team. Then you can figure out strategy beyond that. And them missing Darius Garland is a big problem. And you saw it in the third quarter. I thought Donovan Mitchell essentially he took the game over himself. He couldn't throw it in the ocean from the 3-point line, but seemingly could get to the basket at any given moment. And he was able to get that done. But when you're doing that, you're burning a ton of energy, especially when you're trying to get back into a game. I think the Pacers had pushed the lead to 12 at one point, and they did a great job of getting back into it. You had to know they were going to make a run, but the Pacers did a great job of responding to that run. I think they went on an 8-2 run at the end of the third quarter. But, yeah, when you're down manpower, it's a major problem. And, Sam Merrill missed a couple open ones early. Pacers were great early offensively, but you just in their situation, you just don't have that other dynamic playmaker who can draw a double team and put the defense in a scramble situation.
Yeah, a couple of things stand out. I'm glad you brought this up. There were a handful of times where the Pacers left dudes that you just have no business leaving defensively, and had the good fortune of them missing the shot. I'm assuming that's something you believe you can't get away with this Cavalier team if you do that on the reg.
No, it's not sustainable throughout the course of the series. You're able to get away with it a couple times. Like I said earlier, I thought Sam Merrill missed a couple. Obviously, Donovan Mitchell was 1 for 11 from the free-throw line or from the 3-point line. Although I think probably half of those were bad shot attempts, but he did have some open ones that he's more than capable of knocking down. So I'm sure the Pacers will be looking at the film here today, or they probably have already, being able to make sure they clean up some of those mishaps, because especially in their building, they're not going to miss a lot of wide open 3-point shots.
It's funny. You and I have talked about late clock situations before, and we always kind of cringe to do it because it doesn't work out well. Last night, it seemed like every time it did, and most of the time it did from 3-point range too. That is something else that I would agree with you is probably not series-wide sustainable.
No, it's not something you want to rely on. Although these guys put in countless hours in terms of their shot making, but on this stage and on this platform against that defensive team, it's not something that you want to rely on throughout the series, because it's going to be tough to shoot it as well as the Pacers shot it throughout the entire series. Now they'll certainly give themselves a chance if they have the ball movement and the player movement that we've seen them have throughout the season, but. Still going to be difficult to shoot at that type of percentage, especially when you get up against the clock. It's isolation. You got a guy like Jared Allen or Evan Mobley, hanging all over you. It's going to be tough to knock those shots down.
He's Eddie Gill from the Pacers Radio, the former NBA guards on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Tomorrow night, Game 2 in Cleveland. Pacers up a game in that best-of-7 Eastern Conference semifinal set with the Cavaliers. What most impressed you last night, and among the more than a handful of players that were impressive, which has been the norm so far in this postseason for the Pacers, who really stood out to you? Where do you begin with a group that deserves the accolades after Game 1, but individually speaking, where do you start?
Yeah, I mean, I go to the fourth quarter and individual defensive performance, and we rarely, if ever, say this, and it's about Tyrese Halliburton. I'm not a big proponent of, hey, a guy gets a bunch of steals or a bunch of block shots, he's all of a sudden a good defensive player. I don't necessarily believe in that. Sometimes both can be true depending on the guy. But I'm saying all that to say that sometimes Halliburton comes away with, he gets these steals in the games where he gets some block shots here and there. I don't necessarily call that good defense. But last night, I saw him play the best one-on-one defense that I've seen him play in that fourth quarter. He had a handful of possessions against Ty Jerome, 1 or 2 possessions against Donovan Mitchell, where it was just good one-on-one defense. He kept his chest in front of a guy, and then some of those possessions he was able to end it with a steal and or a block shot. So he did both. I thought he was terrific, obviously, offensively with some of the closing plays that he made on that end. But, man, I was really impressed with what he did defensively after being critical of his defense really since he's been a Pacer.
Yeah, here's what I think. I said this a little bit earlier. I think he's juiced by playing the passing lane. I still don't think he's great. He was better certainly last night at staying on his dude out front. But I think that he gets a little bit more juice now by two things. One is hand to the passing lane. You know, he had a number of deflections last night. Really, Miles Turner had 3 steals. I thought that was impressive as well. But I think he gets juiced out of playmaking defensively, and I think that helps overall his defensive effort. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think throughout his time, his anticipation has been fantastic with like getting in passing lanes, or sometimes, like I said, he comes help side and he gets a block shot. While all those are great to look at and everything, but again, that doesn't necessarily mean a guy is playing good defense. When I think of a good defensive player, I think of a guy who can keep his man in front of him, guard multiple bounces. He's got good defensive principles. He's got a good eye for help side defense, knowing when and when not to help, and all those types of things. But last night I saw something different than just getting in passing lanes. I saw a guy committed to trying to slow dribble penetration down. I saw a guy showing some resistance prior to being put under the basket. So those are the plays that I'm referencing that I saw in the fourth quarter from Tyrese Halliburton.
Yeah, it's Eddie Gill, who's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. So what's your expectation? What will Kenny Atkinson do? And again, this is all, I'm sure, based upon the availability. And you got 3 dudes from Hunter to Mobley to Garland that seemed like when he was talking with the media earlier today are going to be in somewhat question before Game 2 coming up tomorrow night. But what adjustments do you make? And let me go ahead and springboard into this and start. It is making Tyrese Halliburton uncomfortable, which clearly he was not last night.
Yeah, they'll want to continue to work on him. I thought early on they did go after him a little bit. I thought he didn't do a great job early on from a defensive perspective, especially in that first quarter. They went after him a few times and were able to find some success, or at least got an open shot. So, I don't see them not going back to that and see if they can go after him a little bit more, see if he's going to continue to resist and play solid like he did in the fourth quarter. But yeah, everything is predicated upon their health. No Garland, because the problem is, I don't know how much you know about toe issues, but there's really not a whole lot of treatment you can do for a toe.
Yeah.
So if he's got a major issue, the treatment is sit down and wait for it to feel better to some degree. I'm sure they're doing something, but there's not a whole heck of a lot of treatment to expedite that. And then I'm not sure about Mobley and Hunter, but man, those guys are even compromised. Even if they play, it's a major problem for them because they do rely on their depth. And Mobley, a defensive player of the year, took a huge step this year offensively. While I don't think they used him as effectively as they could, that may be one of the adjustments is he gets more looks. If in fact he is healthy.
Yeah, I kind of wondered a little bit. I don't know about you. You were there. About Jared Allen. When he took that fall after that dunk, when Miles played him right there, he didn't seem like he was nearly the same either.
Yeah, he took a very hard fall, and Pacers get away with a no call there. But man, he took a hard fall. He was obviously able to finish the game and seemed like he recovered okay. But yeah, some of those things you don't feel to the next day or two after.
Which block had more of an impact? And I think it was Matherin. And then that call was upheld, and people were making the argument that was a foul against DeAndre Hunter. That or Nesmith, who had the block of Mitchell and then went other direction and then ultimately scored on a 3. Which do you think situation block-wise with extra effort plays had more impact for this Pacer team?
Oh man, I think both guys did a tremendous job with their effort. I think that was a foul on Matherin. The view of from I guess the basket side towards the sideline is where you can see Matherin with his left arm. He looks like he's pushing Hunter in the chest there. But whatever, that's how it goes. That was a big time play there. But man, I really like the play that Nesmith was able to come up with where he get the block shot and then hit that 3 on the wing on the other end, which, by the way, you opened up by talking about the amount of players having great individual performances and them doing it from a collective effort. Nesmith has been as good as you can ask for right now on both ends, along with Nembhard.
And I would agree. Nesmith, remember, everybody used to argue about, they don't have a real 3-and-D guy. They need a 3-and-D guy. My man is evolving. right before our eyes, Eddie, in that capacity?
Well, oh man, it's there's a lot of complaints that were going on in recent memory in recent years that have definitely fallen to the wayside with these guys getting extended opportunity and expectation. Man, Neesmith has been incredible with the way he's been able to shoot it. He's tough on the defensive end. He also makes great decisions. If they do close out, he drives past guys and gets the rim. He can finish. Man, he's been flawless from the free throw line. So, yeah, he's a guy who's been absolutely lights out over the last couple months.
Well, I know this to be true because I've defended Miles Turner for 7 years now, and I feel very comfortable on telling people to stick it up their rear if they have anything bad to say. That's now. Right. Very comfortable. Yeah.
You and I both. I will sit on that committee with you because, I think back, like you said, 5 to 8 years ago, 8 years by now, 5 to 8 years ago, I should say, is when everyone was calling for his name to let's trade this guy, move him, this, that, and other. But, man, he has really put it in another gear and has led this team and great veteran presence. And I can tell you what, there's probably 30 teams around the league that would love to have him.
Yeah, I mean that's a modern day pivot right there. That's a modern day big man. Yeah. That can do just that. And that's always been my argument with jackasses is they always tell me, well, he needs to be back to the basket game. And I always say, hey, numbnuts here. They got one guy that's like top 8 in the league in post-ups, and that's Pascal Siakam, and that's enough.
Correct.
That's all you need. Yeah. This is not the type of game where you have 2 post-up guys. It's not like Ralph Sampson and Akeem Olajuwon in 1995. So now I'm glad that everybody's kind of understanding that.
Yeah, that's just not a thing anymore. He fits the modern day game perfectly, especially at the 5. He runs, he moves well, he protects the rim. Been doing that his entire career. Shoots knockdown 3-point shots. So this chemistry that he and Halliburton have created in this ball screen action has been incredible to watch. So, I mean, you're talking about a team that just fits. They fit right now.
Yeah. It's a team. You don't see this around the NBA too much. I mean, you just don't. And this doubles back to Tyrese Halliburton. For all those overrated calls in that athletic article and all that BS, he has, to me, the greatest responsibility of any of the so-called elite level players. He's got responsibility, as we saw. He had his own numbers, but on a team that on the reg, Eddie, can't get their own, he's responsible for putting them in position to score. Thus, this team is like the ultimate team, and that's how they win. And to me, in the modern-day NBA, that should be such an embraceable quality. I mean, it's not going down, and nothing against these guys. It's not isolating Tatum or isolating Brown. This is, I'm going to go out there and get everybody else going. I mean, really, it's like Jokic. I mean, Jokic does that out in Denver as a big guy, but it is amazing the quality that Halliburton does that oftentimes goes over the head of those that believe that dude is overrated, because he's the one that makes this team as good as it is.
Yeah, I mean, he's the driving force of what they do offensively. You think about how the transition game that they've mastered, it's in large part because of how he's able to facilitate. To your point early on, it's make or miss. They're pushing the ball up the floor quickly, and his assist-to-turnover ratio is another thing that, I mean, we've talked about it. We talk about it literally every pregame show. We talk about it on our radio, and I think we need to continue to highlight it because they are historic numbers, literally that. There's nothing hyperbolic about it. These are historic numbers that he's been able to put up in terms of his assist to turnovers, and he's not just coming down making chest passes to guys on the wing. He's making high risk plays routinely, and he's making them look easy.
Yeah, I mean, you played in the NBA as a guard. I mean, holy hell, 13-1. You can't do 13-1 in a pickup game, Eddie. That's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, you might turn it over more than one time in a shoot around. But he's doing it again. He's doing it on a nightly basis, and it's just incredible to watch. But man, they've just done a great job of cultivating the system of transition game. If not, it's in the half court set. They're still moving it. They have different read and reaction actions. And that's makes it even more impressive because, you go back in the day, there were more sets being called and, people setting up from a half court set perspective. So it limits some of the risk out there. They take some of the risk off the table for you, but the way they're playing, it's even more impressive because of the amount of plays that he's making. It's just volume out there now.
All right, Eddie Gill, the former NBA guard, Pacers radio game 2 coming up tomorrow night. Give me some adjustment thoughts you think Kenny Atkinson may detail in game number 2 that obviously didn't work out well for them in game number 1. And again, all this is predicated on, whether or not they're going to have to deal with even more now significant injuries going into game 2. What do you think?
Yeah, let's just say everyone's healthy. And they don't have those issues because if health is a problem, then it's a major problem for them. But let's say everyone is there. I do anticipate them going after Tyrese some more, seeing if they can expose any of his weaknesses on that defensive end, and just at least put them in situations to where there's a scramble, which is what they did in the first quarter. They just happened to miss the shots, to be quite honest with you. Then they coupled that with a couple other just bad shots that they took. But I would also see, again, let's say Evan Mobley's available, him getting more opportunity because I thought he was good when he did get the ball. He just didn't get the volume. I saw something earlier talking about, a guy like Ty Jerome had more shot attempts than Evan Mobley. And while I love Ty Jerome and what he does off the bench, that Evan Mobley's got to be the guy, especially if Darius Garland's not out there on the floor.
So Eddie Gill's got you covered. Game 2 coming up tomorrow night within the next 24 hours. Should be interesting to see exactly what Cleveland is dealing with. But, man, that was really from start to finish as impressive of a performance we have seen all year from the Pacers. And it is going to be even tougher coming up tomorrow. You talk about a team that's going to be ready. I think people kind of forget just how good – over the long haul this season, Eddie, this Cleveland team has been. Man, these guys aren't going to go away quickly like this. I mean, they're going to be loaded up. This is going to be the toughest game of the season coming up tomorrow night.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's going to be what you saw, really what Milwaukee did in that game 4, or not game 4, maybe it was game 5 in terms of the pressure, the activity, the will.
Yeah.
They don't want to go down 2-0 and then have to go to Indy. That's going to be a tall task. Not saying that the series will be over, but it'd still be a tall task even for a team of their caliber who's won 60-plus games this season.
Hey, really quick before I let you go, I got to hit a break here. How loud was that crowd last night? Because, I mean, it sounded really loud, but TNT, I think, had the modulation cranked up to like 150 last night for all of us to watch. But how was it?
Yeah, that third quarter, they got going. Really, the Pacers kept them seated for the majority of the game. But in that third quarter, when Donovan Mitchell went crazy and they got going on that run, man, it was loud. They had the towels going. There's nothing like these playoff environments. We've seen them at Gainbridge Fieldhouse and seen them around the league. But that last night was a special one, at least for about a 6-minute stretch there in the third quarter.
It's Eddie Gill. He's got you on the radio coming up tomorrow night with Mark Boyle and Pat Boylan. Game number 2 in Cleveland, the former NBA guards on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. So we shall see. I'm trying to get downtown. I want to do a live show downtown. So maybe if we do on Friday, you can slide by before you guys go. I'd love to try to do that, but I'll let you know otherwise, okay?
Yeah, I can make that happen. Just let me know when and where it's happening.
You got it, man. Appreciate you, Eddie, man. Have a great call tomorrow night.
All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you having me.
Eddie, you got Eddie Gill on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. This is an awesome place. Can you join me here? Alamo Drafthouse Cinema, West Side. My man Damon is here. Damon, did you go do the simulator yet? Anthony, you do the simulator yet? Well, okay, gotcha. Matt, have you done the simulator yet? All right. D-Wig, have you done you're not going to do it? You guys slide down in there. That's a nice fit right there for us. Quick break. We'll come back. Hey, Cinco de Mayo celebration. We are on the west side today between 38th and Lafayette Road off of Georgetown Road. It is the old Cub Foods location, but it is spectacular. Alamo Draft House Cinema. Many reasons for you to show up, including the celebration of Cinco de Mayo and the JMV Tequila Sunrise. But get the Delara Race Simulator, the real deal, what the drivers use, absolutely free until I leave later on tonight for you. West Side location. West Siders, I'd love to see you out here. 93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
with JMV.
We're not going to fall for a banana in the tailpipe.
You're not going to fall for the banana in the tailpipe?
It should be more natural, brother. It should flow out like this. Look, man, I ain't falling for no banana in my tailpipe.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Almost an over and back on the inbound. Good catch at the timeline by Halliburton. 7 seconds to go. Ball knocked away from Siakam. He's 30 feet away. He drives right down the middle. Kick to the corner. Turner beat the clock and hit a three as the third quarter comes to a close.
Miles Turner, according to Mark Boyle right there. Miles, 13, 11, 3 steals, 2 blocks. Yeah, by now you should probably notice how important he is to the team. And I don't even think I have to defend him anymore. It was like been 8 years. 8 years. And make no mistake about it, Tyrese Halliburton has just absolutely upped his game. But he is the perfect big for this situation, as I've told you for a number of years now. You can tell that he was told we really need to rebound. He got after the glass, as a lot of you have wanted. And as a team, have shared health in a win over Cleveland. 7 Eastern Finals Game 2 coming up tomorrow night, Alamo Drafthouse Cinema. West Side, shout out to Gian Carlo and Hector for having us here. What a great place this is. Now, I've heard stories. I can't see it. It's around the corner. I'm in the sports bar right now. But around the corner, as we celebrate Cinco de Mayo, the JMV Tequila Sunrise with my guy Jeff behind the bar right now, the mixologist, but they are doing the Delara. This is the real deal. The Delara race simulator that the drivers use. 3 locations, including the IMS Museum, that you can do that. But here today, normally it's $25. Here today, it is absolutely free. Giancarlo, come here. What the hell? What is this here? You got to explain yourself. Gian Carlo is here with us at Alamo Drafthouse Cinema. We got Stephen Holder, top of the hour, Eddie Gill via the podcast at 1075thefan.com. Hello, Gian Carlo. He is back with us. What do you got here in front of me? Let me show people.
I got the dessert right now, good for Mother's Day. Celebrating Mother's Day, try this strawberry shortcake jar.
Now, is this diet?
It's very diet.
Is this on my diet? Here.
It's low carb, low 0 calorie.
I bet it is.
Very low.
I don't think I've had a damn thing inside this like in 7 months right here. No, this is perfect because you guys got a Mother's Day menu coming up too, right? Sure
thing. Sure do.
Talk about that.
So, yeah, we have a Mother's Day menu. You can have different special items customized, that we have at Alamo, like this strawberry shortcake jar, beer battered cod sandwich, curry chicken salad, garlic ginger spice fries,
right?
Peach ginger sangria,
right on.
So
so Mother's Day menu items right there. Those are specials for you too. You got some new menu items that we'll talk about as well coming up here too, don't you? So
sure thing.
I mentioned this too. Before I get back to your calls at 239-1070, go ahead and load them up here. We'll get more on that. The Fever win, the exhibition game over the Brazilian national team that was in Iowa City yesterday. Alex Palou getting the win down in Barber, officially into the month of May with the Grand Prix coming up this weekend out at IMS. But this is a perfect date spot, family spot, office party spot. You guys got it. There's not only is there not a place like on the west side like this, there's not a place in Indy like this right now, is there?
No, there's not. And this destination, okay? Destination,
yes.
Enjoy.
It's like
relax.
The Hollywood Bar and Filmworks to me on steroids right here. I mean, if you guys remember the Hollywood Bar and Filmworks downtown, this is like times 100 to that right now.
Yes, I mean, and we're excited to greet people here and just experience the Alamo experience.
Yeah.
Just get it. The coolest theater in town.
Oh, tell them about the movie selection that you have as well.
Oh my goodness! So one of the little highlights, it's not only new movies right now for this month of May.
Yeah.
Horace is involved. We got Days of Thunder, Talladega Nights, The Ballad of Ricky Bobby. What is better than experiencing it in a movie theater?
People
with
can
food?
laugh. Yes.
Oh yeah.
You got that food. You got the films coming up too. Now, My question I have, can people pick out their own movies too when they do the private showings, private rooms?
They can sure do. So if you want to have a sort of private party, you definitely, we'll get the movie for you, and we can definitely accommodate that.
I have a friend of the show named Edward Halloran, and he mentioned to me a little bit earlier today, he goes, there is no better value in the area than going there with family, friends, gathering. There are so many reasons why you get together, and you're always looking for something to do. Man, this is it right here because you've got so much to do. You've got, again, the Dallara. This is here all the time. This is not just here for this occasion. The Dallara Race Simulator, one of 3 here that you can get involved with locally, just like the drivers. It's here all the time.
Oh, yeah, and you experienced it. You saw how it pulls, and
it's crazy.
My goodness. And you did great. I mean, you're a race car driver.
And the problem I had is I kept looking down my steering wheel, and then I ran off the road.
But I saw you. I was like, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, man, it is a great time, and people always talk about wanting to do that. There's no better month than the month of May to do that right now.
Just soak in the experience,
Behind the bar, I know we got the JMV Tequila Sunrise, but Jeff and the gang back there, the mixologists, making up great drinks. What kind of specials and things are we talking about today?
Oh, sure, yeah. So we got all kinds of specials, and not only that, at the bar, the Hot Rod Bar, it connects. It's a restaurant, right?
Yeah.
Where we're here.
Right.
And if you come here on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday between 11 and 3 and you order your food here at the Hot Rod, you get $5 off from pizzas, sandwiches, and salads. So
well done.
Yeah, can miss that.
Hey, Gian Carlo, thanks for having me again. You guys come back before the end of the show, but I want to come back out here and do this. The Hot Rod Bar is awesome.
Anytime, welcome. Yeah.
I mean, you got TVs everywhere. You can watch games here. And we're celebrating Cinco de Mayo. People are in the Dallara Race Simulator right now. It's absolutely free as we're out here for the show. We're between 38th and Lafayette Road on Georgetown. I often remind people of this because the old schoolers out there will know this used to be a Cub food store way back when. And you guys have made this as, again, Alamo Draft House and Cinema. It originally started in Austin, Texas, correct?
That's right.
And how many locations besides Austin, Texas? And 43 overall. 43. Now, where are the locations? Are they mostly in like southeastern?
No, they're all over the place. And they're in San Francisco. Okay. They're in Chicago. They're in New York and the Bronx. There's in the Carolinas. Yeah, so we have them everywhere.
How long has this place been here, by the way?
Since November 18th, so brand spanking new.
Brand new. And all the hat tips to Indy that you have, including what you have on the wall, the decorative wall of a lot of the great locations throughout Indy. But when you walk in, and I would advise everybody to do this if you love Indy, there's a short video. You have an old school kind of TV that's hung up on the wall, and there's an old school video of this area going, when Lafayette Square was first constructed. It is awesome, that video. And you talk about some memories that flood in about this area with that video. So I would advise anybody, certainly if you've been around here forever and you know the greatness of the West Side, to check out that video.
Oh, my goodness. And it brings out all that nostalgia, and it just gives all that energy. And that's what it's all about. That's what we brought Alamo this side. So part of, bringing the area up and giving a great outlet, for people to enjoy and have a good time with their families.
That's a hell of a time right here. Gian Carlo, rejoin a little bit. Is Hector not going to come on?
I'm going to bring him over. He's just filming right now.
We're going to force Hector to come on the air a little bit later.
He will. He's game, too.
Gian Carlo is here. We celebrate Cinco de Mayo at the Alamo Draft House Cinema. We'll take a break, come back. Your calls on the other side. The race simulator, the Dallara, the real deal race simulator. They have here all the time. Normally it's $25 to do it. Absolutely free while we're here until the end of this show. So we would love to see you. Stephen Holder, top of the hour. We'll do some calls. Pacers game number 1 at 239-1070. We'll get you set for game number 2 as we normally do as well. Hey, James, you did reach out. I saw that social media post from former Pacer C.J. Miles. You got a response from him, I guess?
I have not gotten a response yet, but I am going to hit him back up here.
You got an initial response, though. Did you get an initial response from him?
Yeah, I got an initial response, but he has not followed up since then.
Nah, we got to get him on because he's somebody that I love it when, especially former Pacers, like say, hey, like Roy Hibbert was another one that had mentioned how much he likes this team. That's probably somebody else we should look at. And obviously, a guy like Robert Horry, who was on the show a month ago, would be a great call as well. But taking advantage of watching this team play and getting some of that national reaction that wouldn't normally see this team play, wouldn't normally watch it. And now you kind of get the oh, wow effect that we have watched this team throughout that we understand. We'll get to that and your calls and your thoughts coming up on the other side. Is Stephen Holder coming up at the top of the hour, celebrating Cinco de Mayo, the Alamo Draft House Cinema West Side. We're between 38th and Lafayette Road off of Georgetown. And again, the Delara Race Simulator here live. As it always is, it's absolutely free. The JMV Tequila Sunrise, great drink specials on Cinco de Mayo, as well as food. Make sure you stop on your way home here to celebrate Cinco de Mayo with us on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Ride with JMV.
Excuse me, Robo. Any special message for all the kids watching at home?
Stay out of trouble. 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Turner drives to the wing, pitches it to the top. Beautiful ball movement with Siakam from the top. A touch pass into the near corner, and Neesmith hit a three.
Absolutely initiated by the shot fake by Turner in the far corner to put the Cavs in a bad way.
And now a lob inside, but Allen misses the left hand off the pass from Merrill. The Pacers up 9, moving right to left. 7:29 left in the third quarter. Halliburton near corner, drives the baseline, hooks it back up top. Nembhard right back down low in front of the rim. Turner passed up a shot and sent it out to Neesmith, who hits another three.
Neesmith has been rock solid from the perimeter here for the Pacers, forcing another timeout.
Yeah, Pacers radio right there. Pacers a Game 1 winner. Game 2 tomorrow night. Best of 7 Eastern Conference semifinals. Pacers radio right there. Alamo Drafthouse Cinema. Cinco de Mayo celebration. We're on the west side today. Would love to see you as well. I would agree. A lot of you have asked me about the shirts, and you could tell that was a loud crowd, but they didn't all put on the shirts. Did you guys notice it was called the Diff? The shirts handed out last night, and believe me, I am no fan of yes sirs. But if there's something that is worse than yes sirs, it is the Diff. I kind of wonder, are we kind of running out of slogans a little bit here? The Diff. It took me, I was trying to figure out what the hell that said. If you remember, the fake ones that came out early last week was regarding John Halliburton, control your dad, and that was like a big joke, remember? But the Diff is awful. I thought yes sirs was bad. Now, have they gone with the Diff the entire year, or was that just for the postseason? I would have to suggest, especially with the way the Game 1 went, maybe they retire the Diff. Now, it all depends on personal preference here. There are a lot of people out there that are sick and tired of the gold outs. And I am no fan of yes sirs. That's well documented. I think Now You Know's the fever one. I can get down with Now You Know. I will say this. On the side of the JW Marriott, have you noticed the side that says green means go? I dig that. That's what we used to say to anybody that likes sitting at a light and that turns green and they're still sitting there. Hey, green means go. I don't mind that one. But the diff is, I'm telling you, if you're going to go more lame than yes sirs, the diff may get that done right there. It is truly, truly, truly awful. JMV, thank you very much. I got that right here too. Thank you, Jeremiah, for that. Go back to Boom Baby and leave it. Yes. I think Boom Baby's always enough and always works. At least from my angle. Yeah, the diff. The diff is bad from Cleveland. Yes, sir. Is no good for us. But the win last night was impressive. 2 games later on tonight, both game number 1s. Knicks and Celtics in Boston coming up later on tonight. Game 1 for you out west as well. The Nuggets and the Thunder. It seems like OKC hadn't played in like a month. The Nuggets go a full 7 against the Clippers, and you saw that outcome on Saturday night. Clips didn't show up. Nuggets and Thunder game 1, and then prior to that, the Knicks and Celtics game 1. You got the East semifinals, the West semifinals coming at you. All right, Stephen Holder on the other side. Stephen also had covered a great deal of the Pacers. We'll get to that. With Stephen, we'll get a little bit of NFL news for you as well, but we're celebrating Cinco de Mayo at what is an awesome place on the west side, the Alamo Drafthouse Cinema. We'll look for you here inside the Dallara Simulator. It is absolutely free until we bail coming up later, too, so we would love to see you out here. Cinco de Mayo, the JMV Tequila Sunrise, the great deals on both food and beverage on Cinco de Mayo with 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
I don't know what the hell's in there, but it's weird and pissed off, whatever it is.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Naismith, who's been saddled with foul trouble, is back on the floor. He's got 4 fouls with 7:37 to go. Pacers right to left, looking to move back in front. Nembhard drives left hand down the left side, whips to the far corner. Toppin there with a catch and shoot 3.
That is a big shot for Toppin. He hadn't had an attempt yet from the three-point line. He didn't knock that one down.
Pacers radio right there. Pacers 1-zip best of 7. First round, or check that, I'm sorry, Eastern Conference semifinal round series. Game 2 tomorrow night, Alamo Drafthouse Cinema, west side off of Georgetown Road, in fact, between 38th and Lafayette Road. The Dallara simulator is absolutely free. Normally $25 to do it. How'd you do, Anthony?
I won. First place.
You beat me too? What? All right, that is ongoing right now. We got a lot of friends out here celebrating Cinco de Mayo. We would love to see you. The JMV Tequila Sunrise on special, along with food, and you've got great Cinco de Mayo deals going on here. And we'll talk them up coming up here before the end of the show as well. It is the Alamo Drafthouse and Cinema, the old Cub Foods location here on the west side. Would love to see you with 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Eddie Gill a little bit earlier, podcast 1075thefan.com. This news that I talked about before and then at the start of the show, Evan Mobley has an ankle. Garland's still dealing with the toe, the reason why he missed game 1. And DeAndre Hunter has a thumb situation. Kenny Atkinson, regarding Game 2 possibilities, said, quote, there is real concern about Hunter and Mobley for Game 2. Use the term doubtful regarding both. That is a story that is worthy of following in the next 24 hours, and we certainly will. Celtics-Knicks tonight in the East, Game 1 of the Eastern Conference semifinal round matchup there in Boston. And then from OKC, you've got the Nuggets fresh off of 7 games, and they win in round 1 over the Clippers. They're on the road at OKC for game number 1 coming up later on tonight as well. Meantime, of the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline from ESPN and ESPN.com. Now, normally deeply involved in the Colts, but I do want to start out because recently, certainly, he has covered the Pacers. I know, Stephen, you had watched game number 1 last night.
Yeah.
Besides the overall team effort and the pace and the production and the shot-making ability, what stood out to you regarding the efficiency of this Pacer team in Game 1? Because I thought all the way around, really from start to finish, that was as impressive of an effort against a really good team we have seen out of the Pacers this season.
100%. And I think the big takeaway is I think what they've done on both ends of the court. The fact that they have done it on both ends of the court. Look, they've been playing much better defense all season long. But I'm going to say something here. I mean, that was, first of all, one of the best defensive efforts I've seen from them. And then individually, Tyrese Halliburton, the defense he played in the fourth quarter, they probably have a much tighter situation if he doesn't step up in that regard. And then I would just say, just overall, their defensive mentality is different. There's something different about it. Like, they dig in, man. And maybe they don't do it on every possession. I'm not saying they're some sort of great defensive team yet, but their defensive mentality has changed. They have bought into that side of the ball, man. And I didn't know that we would see that from them to this degree. I think they are seeing that it pays off. And that's what defense is about. You got to understand, man. It's all effort. It's not fun, and it's all effort, right? And I learned this from Pat Riley, right? I mean, he used to whip those guys when it came to, like, you know, closing out shots and all the hard stuff you don't want to do. Back when I covered him back in the day, but I mean, he would not play you if you didn't step up on that end of the court. And it was really boiled down to effort. That's all it really was. He used to have a grading scale that and I don't even know what the details of it were. 20 years later, I still don't know all the details. But if you fell short on his grading scale, of effort grading scale on defense, you wouldn't play. So it had to be ingrained in you. And that's a long way of saying I think you're starting to see it now ingrained in this team, and that is a credit to Rick Carlisle, frankly, and the job that he has done instilling that.
That's Stephen Holder of ESPN on ESPN.com on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I would agree with that. I also agree that anybody at whatever level has played basketball always seems to be more active and more juiced on the defensive end when things are going exceptionally well on the offensive end. So I think that also plays a role. And I mentioned this to Eddie Gill a little bit earlier. I think for like last night against the Cavaliers, they looked demoralized often because they would go down and score, cut the lead, and then the Pacers would get it back up, with a 2 or a 3 in like the next 7 seconds. They would inbound the ball, push, and then score. And I just think that is demoralizing for a team that's trying to work their way back in or on the way back. And that's something that the Pacers do with their pace of play. And when you score during that pace of play, again, as I mentioned, I thought it was demoralizing to the Cavaliers in trying to come back in that game.
Yeah, I mean, they keep their foot on the gas, okay? And so you don't have any space as an opponent. You don't have any space to have a letdown. You got to get back after a make. You got to get back on the other end on defense, and you're hustling. And so think about it. Especially when they build a lead, you are now having to expend so much energy getting back on defense because they're pushing the ball down the court on a make. All right, you think about it, and now you on the other end as the team that's down 7, 8, 9, 10 points, you're trying to chip away. That takes a lot of effort right there. But then you have to race back and defend almost a fast break off a made basket. It's insane, right? So it is really hard to close that lead. Now the Cavs are good enough that they did it a couple of times, but after the Pacers built that last big lead, they just didn't have enough gas. The Cavs didn't have enough gas to do it. So it is demoralizing. It is mental. And I think the other thing that goes hand in hand in that is you got 6 guys in double figures. You're getting it from everywhere, okay? That's the thing. You don't know where it's coming from. So you can close out on one guy and maybe send an extra body and blitz a guy. It doesn't matter because they're all getting in on it. And that is also part of the demoralization you're talking about, because you can feel like you did a good defensive job against, I don't know, Siakam or Halliburton or Turner, whoever, right? And then it's coming from over there. They swing the ball across the court, and then somebody else is hitting the shot. Now it's Nembhard, right? And so that's the part that I think is it all goes hand in hand, right? It all goes hand in hand together. It's coming from all 5, 6 guys. The pace, then they're getting their hands on balls with active hands. I mean, they're doing everything that really just takes you out of the game mentally and frustrates an opponent.
Yeah, and it is truly the team concept. I know I probably overstate that a little bit, but the reason why I bring it up, Stephen, is I would agree because this is not like what you normally see NBA-wise. Normally, like I'll give you a great example. I mean, Cleveland's really good and they're deep and they've got a lot of talent, but they have their standalone star, if you want to call it that, is Donovan Mitchell. And Donovan Mitchell's responsibility is scoring at a high volume, and we saw him do that with a high volume of shots last night. But Tyrese Halliburton's responsibility is it'd be great if you go out and get your own, but he's got to go get everybody else started because everybody else doesn't have the capability of consistently getting their own. So his responsibility, honestly, is much like that of Jokic in Denver, is greater, I think, than a lot of the stars that we talk about in the NBA who just have that singular responsibility of scoring at a high clip or a high volume.
Yeah, I think that's true. That's true. And that's why, having the balanced scoring that they do, I think is so important. Number one, it can give guys a break on one end from time to time. Halliburton doesn't always have to have the ball in his hand and always have to be the guy to go get a basket. I mean, that's not even he doesn't even see that as his number one role, obviously, right? So he can play a different style of game. And they have some role players that can create their own shot. So even when the offense gets bogged down, sometimes you get a role player to sort of bail you out and create a shot. Sometimes Nesmith can do that for you, for example. And so I just think that's the beauty of it is they play winning basketball, man. They just do. And I know that's such an oversimplification, but they play winning basketball because not all games are going to be won the same way. Not all opponents are going to attack you the same way, all those things, right? So you've got to be a team that has multiple paths to victory. They do. They have that because they do a lot of things well. They're a tough team to pin down because you can't say, if we do X, we beat them. What's the one thing you can say, if you do that, you beat the Pacers? I don't think there is one thing, right? So that makes it tough. That makes it really tough to go against them and game plan against them.
Yeah, it does. I mean, and obviously shot-making ability at a higher clip, and then late clock shot-making ability at a high clip can also help a great deal. But this team is so good, so much better defensively when their offense is playing well, and I thought we saw that in game number one. Stephen Holder's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. His normal – go ahead, Stephen. Go ahead.
One quick thing, though. Look, they're not going to hit 52, 53% from three the whole series. So – this will get harder, okay? This will get harder, and Cleveland will hit some shots, but again, they have some health issues as you mentioned. So anyway, just to sort of offset some of all the other stuff, just a little dose of reality.
What's the next benchmark for the Colts we'll be observing? Because obviously, whenever they get together, we're all going to be focused in on the quarterback situation. I'll be honest with you, I'm going to be focused in a little bit, a smidge, on the kicking situation. Because that is a cloudy landscape. It will become more significant when the season starts, but it's something where, Matt Gay didn't do it consistently over 50, but below 50 was consistent. And, with what you got right now, you've just got no basis of comparison for any level of consistency right now. That's rolling the dice to me.
No, they're rolling the dice. Look, I know Chris Ballard said during the draft when he was asked, why did you move on from Matt Gay? And he said it's about Spencer Schrader and the fact that they like his future. The fact is he hit like 5 kicks last year. So what are we talking about? This wasn't about Spencer Schrader as much as I do think he has upside. That's not the point. This was about Matt Gay and about the fact that the production didn't meet the salary. And more than that, frankly, this ain't even about money per se. I think money is always a factor, but the bigger picture here was the fact that he was not reliable enough to the point where at times you could clearly see Shane Steichen in game making decisions based upon his kicking situation and his lack of confidence in the kicker making long kicks. So now at midfield, he's going for 4th and 5, right? When he should probably try a field goal, but he wasn't doing it in some cases on the plus side of the 50-yard line, right? In that no man's land where if you've got a reliable kicker, you know what? 3 points would fit real nicely in this game situation, and then he'd go for it, right? Even though they didn't necessarily have the most consistent offense. But that's where they were. And I think that says a lot about the kicking game. I think when your coach is hamstrung in his play calling because of concerns about your kicker, you got to think about, how you're going to move forward. And that's kind of where they were at. Now, that does not mean this is going to be better, but they couldn't just, have status quo. So we'll see what happens. In terms of the next benchmark, I think this week is an interesting week. We'll talk to some guys on Wednesday, but the other thing is rookie minicamp, which is not typically a big deal, but we will get to see Tyler Warren out there with the horseshoe on for the first time. So that'll be interesting, and we'll get a chance to take a look at him.
Yeah. So I know everybody else. We'll find out as we move along here just how he's going to be utilized and how will they try to do a lot of what they tried to do. I had his positions coach on last week, and they talked about how they realized early that you could move him around and do a lot of different things with him. Be interesting to see with Shane Steichen not having that type of player, certainly at that position in the past, how they'll utilize him moving forward early on and often.
Yeah, my expectation, and I outlined this in a story that ran today on ESPN.com. My expectation is that you will see him used in an innumerable number of ways, okay? Innumerable ways, I guess, is the right English. He can do everything. He's a former high school quarterback, and I'm not saying that's that big a deal, but it is in terms of his understanding of the game. A lot of his coaches cite that, and you may have heard that from from his position coach, I'm not sure, but certainly the Colts and their scouts, they put a lot of stock in that. They can tell that his football understanding is at a high level, because a guy can be a great athlete and can be very versatile, but if he doesn't really understand the defense and understand other positions, you can't ask him to get outside of his box, right? Here, you have a guy who is obviously very good at what he does, but he also has a really broad understanding of everything else. So that's why you can see him go under center and do the wildcat stuff, or even sort of the push-tush situation, which he kind of did at times at Penn State. You see him drop back and throw the ball a couple of times, right? I mean, sometimes it's not so much what he's going to do, but maybe the threat of what he might do. That gives the defense some pause. But here's the thing. You don't have to do anything unconventional. You could go out there and just throw him a tight end screen, and it's still going to take 3 guys to bring him down. But they still have to be watchful for all those other things that you may or may not put on tape, because I think that's really what this is going to boil down to, is put some things on tape, give the defense something to worry about, and that plays into your hands. So I think they're going to not hold back and give him a chance, at least at the NFL level, to do a lot of different things.
So Stephen Holder of ESPN and ESPN.com on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Before I let you go, besides the quarterback position, which is going to be a constant here because of the whole competition description, where's the most interesting competition angle going to be else on this roster with this team in mind?
Well, I mean, a little bit on the offensive line, just because, guys I think are going to get put into spots, but they also have to show that they belong there, right? So we'll see, and I think one of those is probably at right guard. Is that going to be, is that going to be a spot where they have concern, or is Gonzalez going to slide in there and make that his own? Guys got to show up, right? Giving you the job, or at least putting you in pencil on that spot, doesn't mean that you're the guy. You got to go show it. So that's one spot that is TBD. I think certainly outside linebacker, that's going to be interesting. They don't really have an obvious candidate, I would guess, outside of Jalen Carlisle, who I think if they had to play today, maybe I give him the edge there next to Zaire Franklin. But that spot is going to be someone very inexperienced. If I'm not mistaken, Franklin is the only linebacker on the roster right now who has more than 2 career starts. Okay, that should be a little daunting, And I know that you can kind of protect that linebacker spot a little bit, but it's going to have to be someone who covers. Zaire Franklin's going to be the middle linebacker. They're going to have someone there who can cover a little bit, so you can't hide them all that much. So that's a spot to watch for me. And then I think I'm interested to see how the defensive end rotation works out. And, do we see Leatu Latu on the field more this year? I mean, he played a decent amount last year, but I think there's more there. I think he can contribute more. I'm curious to see whether they trust him to play more snaps and play more snaps against the run in particular, because that's what you're going to have to do when you're out there on those early downs. So those are some of the spots I'm looking at, and we'll see how they pan out.
He is Stephen Holder of ESPN and ESPN.com. His normal job is covering the Colts. He's done some time with the Pacers as well. And before I let you go, it's interesting to see just how much nationally folks have not watched the Pacers this year. It is. I mean, you can tell. Now, I think it was Lou Williams that mentioned for FanDuel TV. He just said, hey, I'm going to be honest, I didn't watch him at all. He said that 2 weeks ago. You can kind of tell some of these people haven't watched him play at all, because it's like they're surprised when they do things that we have seen them do as to why they're a good team in the NBA over the course of the year.
Yeah, and I think Lou Williams, I think he also mentioned in that podcast clip that, they got off to this slow start and he lost interest, and he was like, screw those guys, they suck. And not saying he's right, but I understand it, right? I think this team grew over the course of the season, man. I mean, the injuries were what they were, but this team right now, the team that you're seeing now, is not that team. This is a different team. They have grown, man, just over the course of 82 games, which I think says a lot about maturity of a team, because it's much easier to just sort of settle in and just be sort of middle of the pack and not find your stride. I mean, it's very easy to do that. The money's guaranteed, man, right? The checks don't stop coming. But they went and found another level and another gear, and that tells me that this is a mentally tough team. You also see teams go the other way, start off good, look like they might be going somewhere, and then they fade because they're not for real. I think you want it to be this way. You want that team to ascend over the course of the season, and they were playing their best ball when it mattered most, which is the end of the season, when the games got bigger, and they have continued that into the playoffs. So you're right. I mean, it is interesting. I've talked to a couple people at ESPN the last couple of days, and they're like, we kind of like this team. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. What's not to like? I know I'm biased. I'm biased because I was all for. I mentioned this to Chad Buchanan all the time. I feel like my ass is kind of on the line too because I said, run this thing back. I really love these guys. I want to see them grow together. And then there are moments when you're thinking, well, maybe they should have added something else. But was it not like last night where you go, all right, I really dig the decision they make, and it is so unusual. A way that a team goes about building itself in the NBA, you really want it to work. At least I wanted to see it work for that reason as well, because this is a team. It's not one individual with a couple of dudes built around it. It's an absolute team, and I dig that concept.
I give them a lot of credit because there is so much temptation in the NBA today to go build a team the way everybody else is building their team. And the Pacers made the Siakam trade, and that was a fairly big move. Obviously, I'm not downplaying that. Yeah. But I mean, they for two reasons, right? They're not a big market team. They're not going to have a gazillion-dollar payroll. It is what it is, right? That's the reality. And then the other thing is just can they even land some of the household names? I mean, they're not in New York. They're not in L.A., Miami, et cetera. But they have navigated that perfectly, right? Because they have done it a little bit of an old school way, an old school team building. I mean, you can't win with no stars today. That's not true. But most teams that think they have a chance, I mean, they're looking for like that third superstar. And the Pacers are like, no, we're the sum is greater than our parts. And that is the approach they have taken. And who can argue with it? I love that it's working because they are proving, or at least calling into question, whether the other teams are doing it right. Maybe they're doing it right.
No doubt. Stephen Holder normally covers the Colts, but a lot of Pacer conversation because he's also covered them on the Eddie Moore Automotive Group hotline. Hey, Stephen, I appreciate that. We'll follow your stories and obviously get ready to go into the month of May and then into the summertime with a lot on the table regarding this Colts football team moving forward here. I appreciate it, man. We'll do it again.
All right, you got it.
Stephen Holder on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I appreciate him going Pacer angle, too, because I've been very over the top and will continue to be regarding that game number one. If you want to get to some other things, clearly the Brazilian national team was not what it was cracked up to be, but it was a hell of a performance for the Fever up in Iowa City yesterday. So you got that coming up on the inbound, too. Alex Palou, another nice one. That was at Barber, and that now ushers in officially the month of May. Grand Prix coming up this weekend. Our Bronze Fun Time Camper, the RV, is going to be out inside IMS in the infield this weekend. So it'll be out there then, and then know this to be true. Coming up for race weekend, beginning, I think, the Thursday before Carb Day all the way through Monday, we are going to be in the Coke lot. And then on Saturday night, the JMV Takeover is going to be live from the Coke lot in the Bronze Fun Time Camper. The RV. Pendleton Pike asked for Austin. Let Austin set you up for whatever adventure at your convenience you want to be a part of with a Bronze Fun Time Camper. Pendleton Pike asks for Austin. They're going to supply our spot this weekend at the Grand Prix in the infield and in the Coke lot for the race weekend, beginning Carb Day all the way through with the JMV takeover on that Saturday night. Quick break, we'll come back. Hey, this has been awesome. We're at Alamo Drafthouse Cinema, West Side location. Still time for you to get out here and get in on all the fun with the Delara Race Simulator. Absolutely free. Great drink specials and the JMV Tequila Sunrise on what is a fantastic Cinco de Mayo as we celebrate on the West Side for you, too. We'll look for you in and around 6 o'clock as well. Me and you rest of the way at 239-1070. That's next.
JMV.
Are you kidding? You think I'd join this crummy snobatorium? But this whole place sucks. That's right, it sucks.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Halliburton gets it in. Near side corner, Nembhard. Mitchell is on Nembhard. Nembhard at the edge of the arc, backs it up toward the sideline, and then bounces it to the logo. Halliburton takes it there. Back to Nembhard. Working the bounce. He got a 3 up over Merrill and connected from way out on the left edge.
Yeah, dance with him first. Then gets the step backs to go. Big shot.
Boyle Gill, Pacers Radio. Game 2 tomorrow night here on The Fan. Mobley, Hunter, Garland, and all with injuries. A toe, a thumb, and an ankle, all within question, according to Cavalier head coach Kenny Atkinson a little bit earlier. A story, as I mentioned, we will follow. For those of you that are asking, St. Luke's later on tonight is probably going to be out for me as I will continue the celebration here of Cinco de Mayo at Alamo Draft House and Cinema West Side location here. Hey, besides the great specials and the Delara simulator you can do for free while the show is going on, we're celebrating Cinco de Mayo. You got great Mother's Day selections coming up, too. This is a great place to go with a date for a movie, with the family for a movie. You've got Hot Rod. That's the sports bar here, too. You got my man Jeff behind the bar doing the mixology. Brian just brought over a beer for me. I appreciate that, too. And you've got plenty of stuff to do. This is, as Edward actually sent me a message in social media earlier today and said there is no better value for you, the family, friends, whatever you want to do, for the office to put something together. You're always looking for these get-together opportunities. This is it. Alamo Draft House and Cinema. I think Gian Carlo is going to join us again before the top of the hour one more time. Eddie Gill, Stephen Holder, podcast with each 1075thefan.com. We've got qualifying tickets to give away. That is coming up in a minute. As I mentioned, I think I'm going to hang around here for a long period of time as well. If you wonder where this is, if you've not been over here, it is on the other side of Lafayette Road from Lafayette Square. It is the former Cubs Foods location. So it's weird. This is the first time, well, actually second time since the last week I've been in Alamo, but I was with my grandma in Cub Foods about 9,000 times. And I don't know about your grandma, but mine was sometimes awkward. I remember going to Cub Foods right here, and I was going, where is she, where is she? And she had her face stuck in the deli. She was like back there where they cut the meat. I don't know what the hell she was doing. The old Cub Foods location. But this Alamo Draft House and Cinema is out of Austin, Texas, and they have a ton of locations nationally. And Indy, you're lucky to have this too, with Gian Carlo and Hector and the gang here. Again, if you can't make it out today, and I want you to make it out today for Cinco de Mayo, make this a habit, because this is the place to go. This is going to get me, honestly, I've not been to a movie theater since September 21st, 1999. This is when I'm coming back right here. This is when, for the first time since September 21st, 1999, I will go to a theater to watch something. This is it right here. Alamo Draft House and Cinema, and that should speak volumes. Qualified tickets for IMS coming up in a minute. Ben's at 239-1070. He joins us now. Ben, welcome to the show. How are you?
How we doing?
Ben, I'm great. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just on my way home. Thought I'd give you guys a call, you know?
You should. What do you want to talk about, Ben?
Man, I'm just excited about these Pacers. I cannot wait for Friday just to feel the pulse of the city.
Me too. Game 3, Game 4. You got Friday, Sunday coming up. And we always know this.
Yeah.
If there is a time, hey, Ben, if there's a time of year that maybe we enjoy the most on the sports calendar, it's this time of year, because everybody brings up Pacers and Racers. And there is nothing better. You get the warm weather coming in. You know, you're outside, you're inside, you're celebrating. Yes. I should say Friday in Game 3 and then Sunday in Game 4. Yeah, it's feel-good weather, but it's also feel-good. I think last night did a lot, Ben, in amping up Pacer fans even more in their belief on what can take place with this team.
Definitely. I mean, it just feels good to watch a shot go up and have pretty good confidence that it's going to find the rim, you know?
Well, I mean, you shoot 57%, and again, that's not going to happen. They're going to have to adjust because you know that Cleveland's going to adjust. But if you wanted the absolute most perfect start, you got that last night, didn't you?
Yeah, it doesn't get much better than that. I think that we're going to sneak away with one in Game 2, though. I know Vegas didn't like us in Game 1. I know they definitely don't like us in Game 2, but I think that we're going to steal one. I think we're going to come back to Indy buzzing.
Can you imagine if they're up 2-0 and then have the next two, and that would be something. That
John,
would put the NBA world on its ear.
John, it's coming. I'm telling you. You just wait.
Yeah, well, there's a believer right there. Ben, anything else? I got to run here.
I don't think so, man. I enjoy listening. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, buddy, Ben. I appreciate that. Yeah, there's a believer in game number 2. I will say this. The way that they played, it was from start to finish. They had a 5-minute offensive lull in the third quarter. But other than that, that was some dominant basketball being played against the second-best team in the NBA over the course of the regular season. Cleveland has lost 7 times at home. I mean, it's as incredible as it can be. And then you come off of Cleveland in the dominance that they had in round number 1 against Miami. Gian Carlo, give me about 5 minutes. You can come back up here again, too. But the dominance they had in round number 1, they really didn't play a game that was in jeopardy. And that included 2 in Miami and the final one that they, I think, won by 60. And we'll follow the injury situations in case you missed it. Mobley with an ankle. Garland continues with that toe that has been nagging for him. And then you have a thumb situation for DeAndre Hunter. So Kenny Atkinson talked about this and used a couple of interesting terms. Did not sound confident that any of the 3 would participate, and had actually mentioned doubtful in game number 2. And those are stories we'll follow going into tomorrow as the Pacers in game number 2 against the Cavaliers coming up tomorrow night. You've got the Knicks on the road in Boston tonight. You've got Denver on the road in OKC coming up later on tonight. So those are 2 game 1s, East and West semifinals coming at you back-to-back this evening. Jeff is up next at 239-1070. Jeff, welcome to the show. How are you?
Oh, I'm great. What kind of game do the Pacers have in the paint? I mean, I know they're hitting shots out from the perimeter, but I mean, what do they have underneath the hoop?
I mean, they had over the course of the regular season, the 8th most touches in the paint was Pascal Siakam. If you watch modern-day basketball, that's all you can handle. That's all that you need. Why? What are you worried about the paint touches? You're worried about back-to-the-basket game, Jeff? Why?
Well, okay. They're going to need something if they go cold from the perimeter. They're not always going to hit 57% from the field.
Well, I mean, I know. That's where defense comes into play as well, Jeff. So, no, I know. Listen, I agree with your premise on they're not going to hit 57%. But there aren't a lot of teams that are going to do anything back to the basket, and there sure as hell aren't any teams out there that have more than one dude doing it. And Siakam, for them, is that guy.
Okay.
What else you got, Jeff?
Not much.
Hey, listen, Jeff, in this league, in this era of basketball, if you don't shoot at a higher clip or at least a respectable clip from 3, you're probably going to lose anyway. So let's just say that. They're not going to shoot 57%, but you can't flush your perimeter game down the toilet and be awful at it because you're going to lose if you do that. That's just the way that everything goes. Really, that's modern-day basketball in a nutshell right there.
Okay.
Jeff, thank you for the call.
Yo.
Appreciate it. Yeah, the whole back-to-the-basket thing, please keep this in mind. I've had to teach And Jeff, not who I'm talking about here. Uh-oh. Are you bringing me? What is this? What is it? Exotica? I thought you for a second said Diet Coke. Exotica? Is this a shot form right here? All right, I better do this one at the break. I may need a breath. Yeah, I'll do it at a break. We're all going to. We'll do. I tell you what. I'll take a break right here and come back and do the Exotica on Cinco de Mayo at the Alamo Draft House and Cinema. If you guys are looking online, AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. This is the Exotica right here. I'll finish my thought on that and help more get you set on closing out the day and Game 2 coming up tomorrow. Cinco de Mayo. Celebrating. We're at the Alamo Draft House Cinema on the west side, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
tells him.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Qualified tickets, number 9 at 239-1070. He's going to win them right now. Number 9 at 239-1070. Eddie Gill, Stephen Holder, podcast 1075thefan.com, Alamo Drafthouse Cinema. Gian Carlo rejoins. I just did Exotica tequila right there. That was the Exotica drink. See, tequila has kicked my ass before, so I'm a little bit apprehensive about it. I did shoot it. I had a little bit of peer pressure. I shot it. But tequila, I know. Listen, I'm not that great with peer pressure right there. But, man, that was great. Thank you very much for the Exotica. Cinco de Mayo is going on, Gian Carlo. Tell everybody about it.
Cinco de Mayo is happening right now.
It is.
It's going to keep going.
I'm going to stay.
Yes, and you know what? Everybody still has a chance here. We got about 8 more minutes, and you can get the free ride simulator.
Yeah.
Thanks to JMV here, courtesy of him being here.
I love you guys, man. Can I come back again and do another show here? I love this place.
Anytime.
Yeah.
And you know what? I invite everybody this whole month of May. We have some great race movies to come. Bring the family. You know, Turbo, Talladega Nights, The Battle of Ricky Bobby, Days of Thunder, Speed Racer, The Fast and the Furious, the original one, Rush, Mad Max Fury Road, among other great classics.
Mad Max. Oh, I gotcha.
Yes.
I saw on the outside of the building you have the original Death Race 2000 with David Carradine from 1975.
You can't go wrong
with that. That's a badass film right there.
Yep.
So what was he was Frankenstein, called Frankenstein, I think, in that. But
he's right. David
Death
Carradine
Race, the original. I think there was one in 2000 as well, but that was the original right there.
And you know what? Keep in mind AlamoIndy.com, and you can check all what's coming up. Everything's coming up. You'll see a lot of great classics. And you'll be like, oh, man, I wish I would have seen that movie. Even if you can see it at home, but there's nothing beats the theater experience and seeing it.
The 50th anniversary of Jaws is coming up this month, too.
That's right. That's right. And we have a lot of cool stuff to celebrate. You know, a special Jaws popcorn, you know, like lid, you know, and all that. So, I mean, get into the Jaws mode.
I love Jaws right there. I can watch. That's one film I can watch no matter what, over and over and over. I feel bad for the little Kittner kid, though. He's floating around out there on the raft and gets it right there. So, yeah.
He's gone.
But no, man, it's no doubt. 50th anniversary is this summer of Jaws, and they'll be celebrating that here.
Yes. So everybody's invited, and try out the Alamo experience. Again, destination.
Yes, Mother's Day coming up, too. Right.
Yes.
You guys got specials.
Oh, my goodness. You're like, oh, what am I going to do Mother's Day? Alamo, we have Mother's Day for you. We have the Hot Rod Bar. Come check it out. Great food. And great dining experience. Great for dates, so why not?
Great for dates. And I mentioned this, too. Everybody's always looking for a group gathering, office, whatever. This is it right here.
Yeah,
this
definitely.
is it. I'm going to hang around for a while. You guys mind if I hang around for a while?
Hang out.
If I have any more of that Exotica, I may hang around until tomorrow.
Hang out, and we're going to have a ranchera singer.
What?
A ranchera music singer, so you can get in the mode.
All right.
Yes.
Hey, I love you guys. Thanks for having me on Cinco de Mayo. Gian Carlo, you are the man. I love you and Hector. You guys are great. Thank you very much for having us today. Hey, thank you, Dev. Thank you, Kev. Thank you, Chris. I'm going to hang out here for a while. Oh, great to see you guys. Give yourselves a round of applause today. Thank you all very much for being here. Tomorrow back in studio, and we'll get you set for Game 2 in Cleveland coming up tomorrow night. Stephen Holder, Eddie Gill, podcast 1075thefan.com. Happy Cinco de Mayo, everybody.
Cinco de
Alamo Drafthouse Cinema. West Side, 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Have a great night.
Where is that?